Yeah, thanks, engineer. And that's a tricky question, but I recognize Engineer Charago, my senior, is here, so it can be an open question for debate. But I think for me, I every day I get convinced and move towards giving a big responsibility to the developer, then the contractor. Now, we know when the building collapses, we go for the engineer and we take him. We always and I mean assume it's a structural issue, and that's justifiable. But look at this way: the developer, the contractor, the developer has interests, pecuniary interests, because it's an investment. The contractor is the one implementing it. So the engineer is invited by the developer. He's supposed to supervise the contractor. The engineer is supposed to do a contract with the developer. And at times, of course, I'm actually talking about all the building professionals, the architect, the QS, the engineer. And generally, I want to put them low in the pecking order, because basically, you pay the piper calls the tune. And again, we have free market economy. Now, if we have free market economy, we look for clients, the developer will engage us, and if the developer insists that you cannot cut corners in his project, and if he is willing to pay for quality and facilitate that, and if he will demand it, and then he will retain and respect the opinion of the structural engineer, for instance, and other professionals, you can be sure he will have set the tone. And the environment for doing shoddy work will not be there. Because really, he is the one who employs everyone in that project. Now, I'm not saying the professionals should not take professional responsibility. They should. All right? Now, if you do not qualify to do a certain work, for example, an architect taking the work of the structural engineer, that should not be acceptable. And no professional should do that. And then, but you also know that more often than not, professional will understand and point out where their services can reach, and then encourage or actually invite another professional to do what is not within their scope. And we know that happens. But the more reason I think contractors carry a huge responsibility is because quality of construction and materials is largely on their side. And I've advocated that contractors must also retain services of engineers, so that they can have internal quality assurance and quality control, even without the supervision of the consultants. Because really, they are the one there daily, and if they cut corners, it is punishing. We often say that lawyers can explain their mistakes into thin air, and doctors can bury their mistakes into the grave. But as in the construction sector, the evidence of shoddy work will be seen by everyone, and probably for years. And so they carry a big responsibility, contractors, to ensure that they do not do substandard work. All right? Now, us as professionals, our responsibility comes into the contractual framework that we are involved in these projects. Do we allow ourselves to be overruled? And I have been dismissed by a client because a fundi came and he tried to say him, this design is very expensive. This is what we have been doing for very many years. We can offer this solution at this cost. Why is he recommending H16? We can do this with H10 or H12. And I was not there. But what I do is that I give notification that I'm no longer responsible for these works. And I withdraw formally, in fact, even writing to NCA. So we have a responsibility to point out to the contractors, to the developers, and to the society at large of the dangers inherent in doing some substandard work. So if you ask me, I've ranked, and I know this is an open for debate, I've ranked number one, developers, I've ranked contractors, and I've ranked the professional, the third, because really, and I know this will be open for debate, but I've really explained my reasoning. And I think if then we have to close this situation and stop it altogether, we now must go for the developer and let them carry the hugest responsibility, so that then they will delegate this responsibility to whoever responsible, because contracts basically they're about managing risks, and the person who can best handle a risk, they take it. So if we give the responsibility to the developer, then he will distribute the responsibility probably to the contractor, tell him my works, if they fail, you carry the biggest blame, or the structural engineers and the other professionals, who then he will charge them with the right responsibility. And his involvement will be to demand the best from everyone that he has engaged in the project. Thanks, engineer.